Welcome back to the Intel Challenge, where Dignitas have equaled things up against CLG Red. It was a great match, very one-sided. I'm not sure any of us expected that. Certainly me and Risk didn't. I know Mr. On the Fence himself, Hugo here. A lot of questions coming from the casters about his opinions, but it was a really good series, and fantastic to see that Dignitas are back into this one.
Yeah, definitely. And only one of my original predictions stands, and that is that we're going to see a 2-1 in this game. So I'll take that.
Yeah, no, I said Dig would win 2-1. I got the two map picks wrong, but hey, I'll take that one. So yeah, we're on track for our prediction.
Best analyst desk EU.
Yeah.
You're doing all right. I'm going to say that. But okay.
Well, at least our opinions matter, unlike those of the casting desk.
No one really cares what they say.
No.
So now going into like a little bit more in depth of that game. In the first half, Dignitas, they took the pistol. Obviously a good way to start it. They went 4-0 up, but then we started to see the CLG train start to gain a bit of momentum. But then they were able to overturn that against Dignitas. What happened?
I mean, as you said, momentum, I think this is a great example of a game just based on momentum, with Dig opening up, as you said, then going on to, obviously, CLG picking up 6-7 rounds in a row, something like that, so really getting the train rolling. And then, obviously, we saw the attack pause from Dig, and that's just when they started getting it rolling as well. We saw some interesting rounds, at least in the middle there. And it was weird how one-sided the kind of halves were. At least Dig had some really dominant rounds, then CLG had some dominant rounds, and back to Dig having dominant rounds. And eventually, obviously, the second half, we saw one round from CLG Red, so Dig just completely wiping the floor.
It seems to me that CLG Red are a team that when they are rolling, they're really, really good. When they're really in their zone, they can beat pretty much everyone. But when they fall off from that, there's like a big drop. And you can see, for example, Benita, who was really good on train, completely fell off in this game here compared to how she was doing on train. So when they're on their A game, they're really good. But if that like fails and the momentum just slows down and stops, then they have big problems.
Is that a case of them just getting down on themselves and maybe thinking they should be doing better in the game and perhaps underestimating their opponents slightly?
It's self-perpetuating, isn't it? There we go, we got there in the end. You think you're bad, and then, oh god, no, I'm doing worse. And then, oh no, I can't worry about doing worse because I'll do worse. And they just keep, it's a cycle, it just keeps going around, right? So that's the thing. And you mentioned Benita, who obviously did very well in train. Yeah. But it's not just her. Miss Harvey, she had really nothing. She's at the bottom of the scoreboard. I mean, Milk, again, you can't expect too much because she is the latest addition to the squad, at least standing in for the time being. But again, she really wasn't showing up. The only person we can kind of go from the CLG side is Potter. Multiple AWP clutches, great shots. We always praise her for being the hard hitter, along with Dye of the team. Yeah. Dye as well was up there at the top. So despite two players stepping up for CLG, it wasn't enough to make the cut. And Goose Breeder, I mean, you've got to talk about her, right?
Yeah, definitely. Also to continue that point, because the casters, they said something actually, don't say a lot of good stuff, but they actually said something really smart, is that if Potter or Dye doesn't step up in a round, it's incredibly hard for the rest of CLG to pick something up. So if they die, those two die early on, and then it's a 3v5, like, usually a 3v5 is really hard, but it gets even harder because those two are the hard hitters. So if they go down, there's almost no chance of CLG taking that one back. But yeah, Goose Breeder was on point. Rain was on point.
And another thing that the casters did mention as well was that vent control. Obviously, really played a huge part. We saw several Molotovs trying to fly towards vent. Unfortunately, they didn't really make it to the destination that they had hoped. Was that one of the key factors for Dignitas winning this game? Just the fact that they were able to have so much vent control. Who stood out for Dignitas? Because obviously we've said a lot about CLG Red perhaps underperforming, but who overperformed the Dignitas?
Just said Goose Breeder, right? Almost 30 frags or something. She went absolutely crazy on that second half, especially on CT. They completely shut down CLG. Goose Breeder, very specifically. Obviously, Rain's incredibly consistent, so you've got to look at her and go, yeah, we expect her to do well. But Goose Breeder, not always the person to step up and get to the top of the scoreboard. You've got to praise her on that performance.
Yeah, definitely as well. And as we mentioned, the Molotovs, it was actually Rain most of the time sitting in that vent. So when the Molotovs failed, actually, some of them went into the vent, but then had that gap, so she could sit there. Some of them didn't even go into the vent, and that's, of course, a big problem. But when she still has that vent control, they don't take that vent control and then go out mid. She has information, she can go for the backstab, and if you give her that, if you give her one finger, she'll take the whole hand. And that's a big, big problem coming into a game where you're already not doing your A game, you're not doing your best. And if you lose mid control as well, give Rain an opportunity to shine, then you lose the game, as we saw.
And I mean, we saw 2 pistols for Dig as well. That's something you got to take into account. You win 2 pistols and you lose a game, that's just a shambles and you don't deserve it. But Dig, they got the pistols, no ecos came in. We didn't see anything from CLG in that extent. To that regards, we saw a lot of eco wins on trains, 4 spies, etc. And I mean, even the full eco from Dig that was successful. Nothing on the side of CLG. One thing I would pick up on, the fact that CLG, while they were shaky some rounds, especially with the mid control and those nades there, they kind of seem to know what they were doing in terms of like having the preparation on Cash. And I feel like that's maybe why Dig let through Cash instead of obviously playing Mirage. because, well, obviously Dig seemed to be prepared on it as well, but we saw a couple of rounds, for example, where CLG were throwing their smokes over the A site to get that full eco plant in, just towards the highway, so not a default plant at all, and no one could stop her. I can't remember who was planting, but you can't stop can't stop the planter if it's not in a common spot, right? So a surprise plant there, get some more money, things like that, little details, examples of how CLG proved to be somewhat prepared on this map, but obviously underestimating their opponent.
And it was their map as well. I think that's something we've got to point out. CLG Red obviously choosing that in the veto process. They had already won Dignitas' map previous on Train. So now we move on to Cobblestone, where obviously they decide on map, so they kind of got vetoed down to that. No one really chose it. How on earth is this one going to play out? Because I think we've tried to call it here, there, and everywhere. Yes, the casters are joking, saying you're on the fence, but quite rightly,
I'm not on the fence anymore.
This is just going back and forth, and honestly, I don't know who's going to take this one, so I want to know your opinion.
Okay, so it could be back and forth. Oh, I'm on the fence. No, I'm going to say Dignitas will win this. You can't, after an incredibly close match going to overtime, yes, the map picks were complete opposites of what we expected in terms of results, but at the end of the day, Dignitas have proved their worth. Not only have they got very close to winning a map, but they've also dominated one more. So just off of that, just off of the performance today, and the across the board ability of every player on Dig being able to step up and perform, they're going to take Cobble.
Yeah, I think like logic kind of goes out the window when one team wins their opponent's map pick, and then you go the other way around. So the only logic I have to stand on is like a kind of a small statistic. That is, if you play a best of 3 and you win the second map, it's something like a 65% chance of you winning the third, just because of that momentum boost, and your opponent is going to be thinking, oh, we threw that. We had one map up. All we had to do was finish.
Especially when it's their map.
Yeah, exactly. All we have to do is finish on our own map. We win it 2-0. Then you throw that away and you go to the third. So you're just going to be doubting yourselves for that entire third map potentially.
Certainly a hard position to be in.
Yeah, definitely.
And another thing to think about as well is the fact that when Dignitas at least went for that pick on Train, I think it was more so a pick that they were hoping CLG wouldn't be prepared, more so than, guys, this is our best map. This was a surprise upset pick, much as how Nuke would be if that wasn't banned out of the pool. I was saying before the match, obviously, I'm expecting to see Nuke in here if Train is banned, obviously. But the fact that they picked Train, makes me think that they weren't too worried that they lost it, just because it was kind of like, these guys don't practice it.
Yeah.
Let's take it off them.
I think that's a very good point, because I think even when we were looking at the picks and bans yesterday, we were saying likelihood is they're going to try and get them on Train, because CLG have just been getting rid of Train first choice every single time.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Dignitas aren't too worried. They can think, okay, we can move on to Cobble, fresh new start. Now it's just a best of 1. They did all right in best of 1s yesterday at the group stages as well. But who are the key players we need to be looking out for on Cobblestone now? How do you see this one panning out?
Well, of course, we start repeating ourselves, but on Cobblestone, of course, you got to look at Potter. Can she deliver that first map performance? But on the other hand, Milk and Benita need to step up. Harvey as well. She is actually a decent fragger. Last map did not show that at all. So if they can lift as a team and help Potter carry that frag, and then they might have a chance. On the other hand, we're looking for Gruespeeder to continue.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as I said, not really the player we expect to step up to the maximum, whereas comparative players, for example, Rain, we kind of see being consistent. She was very strong on the map. Yesterday, we saw Dignitas play Cobble twice out of their 3 maps. One was a 16-4, one was a 16-7, so some dominant performance, albeit against lesser teams, but still, we saw Rain even ace a couple of rounds in the previous Cobble, yesterday. Yeah. So going into this match as well, I think we have to pay attention to how the AWP is going to be used. Just to note as well, another stat, Emily didn't pick up the AWP once in Cobble yesterday. She just went with either rifles or the P90, and we saw a lot of MP7s as well. So going into this, I'm not expecting the AWP. Emily hasn't been showing off amazingly with it.
But she was hitting some shots in Cash, and I know I said the same about Train. She was hitting shots here and there, but Cash, she seemed to find a little bit of confidence. And considering we have been giving her a hard time, or at least Castles have yesterday, about using that P90. If it works, if it's why not? If you can use it, then that's fantastic. But if she can hit shots with the AWP as well, then credit to her. I think she is going to be someone we need to watch on Cobblestone. I think she'll be getting a little bit of confidence from that last series, and maybe we will start to see a little bit of AWP control from her.
It all depends, because at least Cash, she picked it up so early. The 4th round, she was on that AWP just straight away. First buy, she's like, okay, I'm using it, and I've got that confidence. And yeah, she did do very well, but again, you've got to take into account that was a stomp, and when you have a stomp, most people are going to step up and be able to take down the opponents fairly easy. It's a lot of mental game. But yeah, I think this is a map definitely that lends itself to the AWP, especially on the city side more so than Cash. So another chance for her to kind of show that she's useful with that all.
Yeah, and talking about that CT side, Team Dignitas did just win the knife round. So they are both, of course, going to have the pleasure of starting on their preferred side. They're going to have the momentum. They're going to have the mental fortitude of just like winning a map, being really in there. They're going to have Emulate like on point with the orb, as you mentioned. So they have all the factors that can bring them this victory, despite them in most eyes being like underdogs, like 40 to 60%, because CLG, of course, are the bigger brand here. But they have the chance. Now it's just up to them.
It is up to them indeed. It's also up to our casters to move on with this final game of the series. And of course, it is Tom and Harry, and we may be sat on the fence. So what are you guys sat on?
Well, I mean, you know, I can tell you how to not sit on the fence, guys. And, you know, that is just to go with the side and pick it. Neither of you guys should be strangers to pickets, seeing as how often you are on the fence. But boom, there we go. We're getting into this one. CLG Red versus Team Dignitas. Already we got Team Dignitas over on the T side. They've been going very aggressive out towards mid. No time, no room for introductions this time around as they charge up towards the A site. Gooseberry to find the first part is going to go straight down. No trades to come through just yet either. And Milk tries to go aggressive, tries to force the issue towards the site, and is going to pay for that with her life. She goes down. And now Gooseberry is going to be going aggressive. And oh no, what's going on? The battle of the knives, and somehow Gooseberry actually survives not only long enough to not like just completely die like flat out to the retake, but she actually survives to take the knife out and find a knife frag somehow. So already Team Dignitas looking to try and make some serious money. Benita and Dai coming in on the retake, finding a frag apiece. There's still a 2-on-3, but there's still time left for them to try and pull this off. And he's going to get one. Going to start going for the defuse, and I think she's just going to try and stick it, but that's a little too cheeky without the kit. She will go down, and that's Team Dignitas to pick up the first round.
What a start as well. That's another pistol on the board for Team Dignitas. Gooseberry with 4 kills, including a knife. We can see her actually buying up the AK into this round. No surprise, because she can still get full utility behind it as well. P90 will be in once again. Of course, no surprises. I do actually hope that she goes back to the AWP at some point, because I think she's been doing very well, especially in the second map, actually starting to win those duels versus Potter. And that was one thing, one of the win conditions that we had towards the early stages. Shut down Potter. Here goes the P90. Will only get one as the MAC-10 manages to farm up the majority of the cash. Milk is going to be ready and waiting, looking to try and do a little bit more, but won't achieve anything.
You had to slide in there with the fact that the MAC-10 was the thing to farm up most of the cash, weren't you? Look, we get it, Tom. You don't like P90s, okay?
Did they actually full eco there into that second round? Because they've got a lot of money left. I think they did.
Yeah, no, it was a relative. Yeah, most of them just being on the USPs. I think one player may picked up a P250 or
and
something
even
like that.
still, the P. No, I'm kidding. No,
and even then, that P90 just couldn't find the frags. Actually, to be fair, the only player who died was really on the P90. But anyway, they're going to continue the aggression down towards B. This time, it's a MAC-10 to fall first, at the hand of Benita, who decides that she doesn't like the P90, but she doesn't like the MAC-10 either. She just hates all SMGs. And that Molotov, I don't know what that Molotov was meant for. Someone else, maybe elsewhere on a different map, would have meant to be receiving that, but instead, I don't even know what the call out for that is. It's outside the map, so what more could you say? Potter coming in on the retake. Emulate's in the corner with the P90. She's not looking like she's going to get much work done. Instead, firing up the ramp towards the push through the murder hole, leaving it all on Milk and Potter to try and wreak some havoc, do some damage. And Milk walks on out, is going to fall and leaving it on Potter, who does get one. Looking for a second, but she's going to get tagged in through Stables, and now just going to be trying to fall back. Make this costly if she can. Emulate up close and personal with the P90. There it is, Tom. There it is.
I feel like Milk and Potter sounds like a really interesting pottery shop.
Milk and Potter?
Yeah.
What, like... I don't know, like what, you just go in, all the pots are filled to the brim. I mean, that's not really innovative. I hope that was, like the name would be a little bit more tongue-in-cheek than actually it is just milk in pots when you go in there.
Or they make the pottery with milk.
That's an alternative thing that I really should have thought of. But anyway, enough about our joint business venture. We can move on to that another time. Tom. Instead, we are seeing Team Dignitas trying to grab control of mid once again. Emulate with the P90, not going to be opting to upgrade that, because why would you? It's so ludicrously expensive.
And good.
Yeah, and good.
No head armor, though, so it will actually be relatively effective against these players, but already we're going to see the spray down doing quite a lot of damage early on. Benita gets to the P90, will be there to trade the headshot. Does come in And we're going to have the rotation from the remaining CT players. We're not going to have the range, of course. Only one player actually with head armor. Emily is going to go peek out. Artstar may have a good opportunity to actually get a kill herself, getting close and personal. Emily will steal it away, but it's Harvey to trade, and now it is all onto the P90 into a 1 versus 2. Now, neither of these players do have any head armor. If she can get this bomb down, it will actually give them a decent opportunity into the next round. It is going to be this retake. Now, Potter still has the AWP, not quite going to be able to connect the shot, but at least pushes her back towards the site. There is actually a Molotov in Potter's hand as well to clear out that site. This should end the round if she utilizes it correctly, although that's actually not going to go anywhere near Emily, who's actually going to be pushing close and personal. The P90 with the pre-fire will actually be able to get one. Third kill of the round already for the Pro 90. And now Potter into the 1 versus 1. Needs to connect the shot. Is actually going to try and get close and personal with the rifle instead. It will only take 1 bullet to the face, but she can't quite combine. Does have a good effort with the P90, but it's not quite enough.
I was going to say, Tom, if the P90 clutched that out 1v2, you would have to shave your head.
Again.
As repayment. But yeah, there we go. CLG Red, they pick up their first round, 1-3 now in the buy round. There is still plenty of cash flow on the side of Team Dignitas. They're not going to opt to buy up the AWP once again. Instead, it's just going to be AKs across the board. This does open up a lot of options for them to be very mobile. Of course, you can rotate kind of and play with these very, very aggressive stances with the AKs. They take a little bit less time to set up than the AWP movement speed. But ultimately, yeah, we should see them being a little bit more mobile as a result, not being tied down to that. Only issue is they don't have anyone to answer back against Potter, who right now is posted up over towards platform. There's a lot of P's in that sentence.
A little bit of a gap in the smoke as well. Well, I mean, the Potter's able to get that early pick. Now, there isn't a lot of utility over on that T side at the moment to try and get themselves back into the round. The CT still have a plethora of utility, and some on Potter. But we'll see the push actually coming back in over towards this A site. Dai is actually going to spot the majority of the players pushing back in towards middle. The rotation will be quick. Benita's flash doesn't do anything, but it doesn't really seem like they spotted her. And actually, Dai's going to get another one fading away. Gets a second as well, lining them up, knocking them down. It's still going to be a trade, however, as there's 2 players remaining over on this T side. And that Molotov should clear up Benita from the side. Is she going to survive in the corner?
Yeah, it's not going to spread. She's just going to be able to stay alive. Now, Goosebreeder trying to push through the murder hole. Going to be tagged down low a little bit, but it does keep Potter from rotating. They still have to clear out the site. Benita is there, and Goosebreeder's called it. Peeking wide up. Arstar's going to go down. Now it's all on Goosebreeder 1v2. She knows where Milk is. Well, Milk's going to get semi-skimmed. Actually, the bullet's going to connect in the right in the head. And there we go. The trade comes in from Potter with the AWP. 2-3 right now. CLG Red only 1 round behind, equalizing this out. The economy on Team Dignitas is going to be an interesting kind of point to look at. A couple of these players with enough money to buy on down, and it doesn't like to be the case. They want to try and keep the economy of CLG Red down low. They had enough for 3 AKs, that UMP, and most importantly, Tom, the P90.
With no armor again.
Tom, you don't need you fire enough bullets. That is your armor. You don't need armor with the P90, Tom. I don't think you understand.
No,
it's not necessary.
No, you are right.
But now they're going to be pushing.
I don't understand.
Now they're going to be pushing on in towards the B site, and actually they're making it work somehow. In the blink of an eye, it's all on Potter and Benita to hold this down. Potter just making her way through the smoke, trying to navigate through the fog of war, and it's Benita to find one. Potter now trapped over towards Rock. She's got players coming in from all sides, and she's right next to you. Finally going to get dealt with by Goosebreeder, who does pick up the AWP as well. That's going to be thrown over to Emulate, sorry. Hopefully. Amulet, yeah.
Could actually be. Maybe we've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time. Unfortunately, this does mean that the CT side are having trouble with their economy. Now, even going into the next round, we are going to see them with problems. Now, this is something that we actually saw in the previous map quite a bit, where the rounds they were actually winning were so close, so the second they lose one, their economy gets reset, and Team Dignitas are able to pounce and gather up a couple of rounds because of it. Now, what they actually opted to do, at least in the previous, was to save and make sure they had a big buy on the board. That was mainly in train, obviously, when we had that 10-10 position, and that worked out for them. In this situation, I wonder if we will actually see the same sort of play. Now, Goosebreeder are actually going to go for the MP7, a different SMG in the mix this time. Emilite will be on the AWP once again, and I'm quite glad of that. I do think that she's been doing relatively well with the AWP, especially on cash, so if she can continue in that sort of manner, then for sure it's going to get a little bit worrying for CLG Red. Now Potter is actually going to be looking to flank here, goes for the taps, gets one, and actually the flashbang will blind R-Star, who's going to get caught in the back as well. Dai's going to pick up another, maybe the pistols will be enough. The SMGs, however, will be looking to try and clean up these remaining kills. The MP7 up close and personal. This should be an easy pre-fire spot, really. That's the first, but now the long range of Dai's rifle will take her head clean off, leaving it down to Kath and Rain.
Yeah, Kath does manage to grab the bomb though, now trying to hightail it over towards B. Got Rain watching the flank and should be able to make quick work of Benita there on the rotate with the UMP. So the advantage might be going the way of CLG Red, but the bomb has made it towards that B site. You got two armored players versus the unarmored might of the CLG Red team. And while already Milk going to go down, the one player who was still relegated down in the pistol, now it's the AWP and AK combo on Dai and Harvey as they make their way on in. Looking like a parody of the Die Hard films here. Dai Harvey pushing on in towards the site. It's all on Rain at 1v2 with the UMP in hand. They don't have a kit to play around with, so all she's got to do is try and deny the defuse from coming on in. You see the Dai's got to try and stick it. She's on 3. She's got to pick up a 4th if she wants to go for the defuse. There's already so little time left. There's a Molotov on Rain as well. And this round going to be going the way of Dignitas. She goes for the flick. She doesn't connect it. What's going on? It's just back and forth. Now they go for the knife. Now they go, oh my God, what was that, Tom?
That was both players completely losing their mind for a second. And that will... Artstar just wrote female CS in the chat. Oh, that was definitely an interesting
I was hoping we were going to get a highlight of that, but no, apparently not. Hopefully we do get one whenever we get the little highlights at the end. That would be a nice highlight to have. But yeah, already Team Dignitas, they find themselves with 5 now, looking to try and go aggressive over here towards Plat. Milk is going to be the one close enough with the M4 to try and shut this down. Having trouble connecting these shots, and it's going to get double teamed by Artstar. Over towards platform, once again, Potter finds herself here alone. The rotate coming on through. Harvey through the smoke, knows what one of these players are, but can't quite connect the shot. Potter's had to fall back really passively here. She's tagged down so incredibly low. She's relying on her 3 teammates to try and open up the possibility for her to return to this site. As they lose Harvey, it's looking a little bit less likely now. Dai's able to find one Benita as well. The trade's going back and forth. Potter and Dai now find themselves 2-on-2. They haven't cleared out Chicken Coop, and the crossfire is going to be incredibly strong. The second that Molotov fades, in comes Artstar with the AK. The trigger discipline finds one. It's spraying through the smoke. She can't quite connect it. The defuse could nearly come in, but nope, there we go. Finally connects that shot, and Dai's going to go down. Dignitas arrive at 6.
Getting a little bit too close for comfort, but again, CLG Red are not going to have the money to buy into the next round, so looking like Dig will be getting a 7th on the board, looking strong on this T side so far. And even in the rounds that they lost, they were very, very close. Milk currently 008. She's gone past Secret Agent, made her own brand. And well, gonna need her to step up on the board. A lot of quiet players at the moment, but there is Milk. The second she is named and shamed, she steps up onto the board, gets a kill. Obviously, every piece of damage is gonna be good for the CLG Red side to try and at least damage other economy. Benita will be able to get one, and she picks up an AK as well. They've been doing quite well in these anti-eco situations. Emma just looking to spray down the remaining players, but actually Benita gets another one. Look how low the remaining players are over on that T side.
Oh, that was a nice peek there from Benita. The idea, just trying to catch that player who's tagged down low while they have the Molotov out, and turn it into that one-on-one engagement whilst the smoke's down, isolating the player over towards Chicken Coop, but couldn't quite make those shots connect. So that's going to be Team Dignitas picking up their 7th. 7-2 right now. They have a 5-round advantage over CLG Red. The pause is going to come in. I mean, this has to be attack pause, right?
Yeah, you'd hope so. You'd hope so. Oh, we're going to see...
Oh, here it is. Here's the highlight we asked for. Look at this. And then, yeah, there's the slow-mo. Oh, it's perfect. Oh, that's so good. It's like something, it's like the deleted scenes from the Matrix films.
I just like the sort of moment of Dai just slashing a knife, just like, no, no, please.
Begging for forgiveness. But no, I mean, it's just both teams here, merciless, completely ruthless killers, as we saw then. Even when you look them in the white of the eyes and beg to survive by flailing your knife around like a crazy person, they say no. 2-7 right now. Team Dignitas 5 rounds ahead. And for those of you who are just joining us, this is the 3rd map of the first best of 3 in the semi-finals of the Intel Challenge 2017. Of course, the winner of this goes through into the grand final to play up against the winner of the game coming up next between Team Secret and Team Expert.
Hey, remember this time?
Yeah, I did remember this time. I did it.
Nailed it. We are going to be moving on to that after this one. Obviously, we do have a pause in at the moment, waiting to see what they can actually change up. Now, the AWP is going to be back onto Potter. So far, I haven't really seen too much from this CT side whatsoever. They've been struggling to hold onto the B side in general. There's been a lot of economy problems where they've been playing probably about half the rounds with pistols. Still able to do a lot of damage with them. But the fact is, even with the damage, the rounds are still going the way of Dignitas. They're already up to 7, 1 away from winning themselves the half. Even with Kath being very quiet, Kath was actually part of one of the win conditions for them to actually take this map when we saw them versus Vex. She was very, very good. So the fact that they're winning 7-2 and she hasn't even come up to the table yet is very, very scary for the opposing side. Now Potter is going to be set up over towards Plat, or early on, Statue, to try and do a little bit of extra damage, but these smokes just seem to be part of an elaborate ruse, which are actually going to try and force the rotations away. Now, so far, that has not been the case. The second AWP on Die is still holding, and actually the spot out onto the bomb is going to come in. Now, we lose Cap as the sort of entries come in. Going to be trades back, though, and actually onto a 3 versus 3. Now, they have spotted the bomb over towards this A site. The problem is, that's going to make them actually gamble, and look at the position that Artstar has managed to take.
Yeah, I mean, usually a rotate like this very early on would be too much of a problem for CLG Red. The issue is Artstar's been allowed to get in the back line, and now she can disrupt the rotates back into the B site. Usually a team could very easily get back in towards B the second the first flash comes in. No problem there retaking in the 3-on-3, but because of where Artstar is, she completely denies the rotate. I mean, already Dire looking to be debating the idea of saving over towards A. Very, very slow on the rotate. Potter's here as well. They've got 2 AWPs to play around with. I mean, at this point,
what's going on with this boost?
Yeah, they're really struggling to boost the player up. Dive's finally going to get up there, but at this point, there's so much time. There's so much time, a little bit taller, that's why, tiny bit taller.
Better at jumping.
But yeah, I mean, at this point, they're just going to have to save, right? They wasted so much time trying to get into the site. They had Artstar as well, who was just locking down the entry through the doors, and ultimately that is going to be Dignitas picking up an 8. The real issue I'm seeing here, Tom, and I hope this is something that the analyst desk can bring up later. I mean, considering we don't have opinions, it's amazing how much they regurgitate our thoughts.
Or even direct quotes.
Yeah, I mean, something I would love for them, though, to bring up on the desk in particular, Dan and Risk to talk about, would just be the fact...
That other guy. Was it Hugh Grant?
Yeah, would just be the fact that you know, when it comes to taking B, it seems like all the smokes rain in, and then it's just Potter who has any say in whether or not they get in on the site. If she goes down, there's no one there to trade. And every single time you see it, they just isolate her on the site. She has to fall back through the smoke, and then that's the B site completely foregone. Sometimes they might find a frag on the player playing platform, but ultimately it always comes down to Potter. And this time, well, the push is going to be fast and aggressive from Team Dignitas in towards B. All 5 players here early on. The smoke screen down once again. Bomb's going to go down, and it's a 5v5 for the retake.
Something that does not happen very often. B-side defense not looking too good at the moment. Milk is going to be able to get one to start things off, and actually this retake's working relatively well. The peak's just coming out. Harvey's going to get quite a few, and now it's actually all down to just Cap. They've managed to win this out just with the retake. Quite surprising. I don't think they'll get away with that too many times. Obviously a very risky strategy to take, but they seem to be so quick on the rotations as well that this time they're able to pull it off. I do have to say, I'm not a big fan of having a sort of retake strategy on B. I think that having some sort of presence over towards Plat is necessary, and a lot of the time that's just down to counter utility usage. Also, you have to take into account as well that there was no presence from Dignitas over towards Drop. If there had been, then the retake would have been so much more difficult.
Now, Dignitas, they're going to be going with 5 rifles into this. Can have a little bit of utility to play around with as well. Potter is posted up with the AWP looking out towards mid. Just going to like to fall on back, was in a great position to potentially see up the top of that smoke. But instead, leaving it down to Benita. They have the crossfire set up. Now, Dignitas haven't really had much success out towards this A site. They've slowed things down a little bit now. They're trying to be a little bit more methodical in how they're taking mid. That's been mainly their downfall as they get caught off guard. They have to check whether or not Benita's here. Potter's holding this long angle. Should be able to win this duel with the AWP, you'd hope. And Well, Star just about to peek on out, but it doesn't find that first frag. Too violent to show on stream, and Benita's going to go down in towards mid, though. Potter now isolated over at long is going to fall at the hands of Kath, but Milk to find two. She shuts down potentially towards the site for the time being. 18 HP, but she's still alive and kicking. And now Emily pushing in past Swan, not going to check balcony. She goes down. Harvey's able to find that. The crossfire set up, leaving it all on Gooseberry, which she spots the shadow in through Murder Hole. It's 1v3, turn into a 1v2, but Gooseberry's got to do a lot of work to keep Dignitas in this round.
And the big problem as well is just Dai's position is so valuable at the moment. Just trying to play around with that AWP, but Gooseberry might actually be able to get past her towards this site. She's gone up towards balcony. Nice shot onto Milk, brings it back to the 1 versus 1. Now she has a good idea that there will be a player over towards the flank. However, not knowing her position, Dai's going to be able to capitalize, and they just about squeeze another round out. Now this time, the T's are going to be struggling to get a buy on the board. However, when you look at how much damage they've just done, I wonder if it's sort of worth going for. Like, there's still decent money on a couple of the players, but they know that if they manage to win this round, it's going to be really hurting CLG Red.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it wasn't so much of a buy, so is out of their necessity to do so. It's more because they're trying to they know they can make things work in these, even in these lesser ideal scenarios. It's to try and hurt the economy of CLG. And while Rain's already on the site, Potter's looking completely the wrong way, going to be just at the mercy of that UMP. And now Rain looking to try and do more damage. A nice quick peek on out. Going to be able to find another out onto Milk, leaving it 2-on-4. The rotate's coming on in. But Dai's got to try and find a lot of damage here with the AWP. Benita is going to be hot on her heels. And Emily, no problem denying this retake as Dai falls. It is all on Benita. 1v4. And at this point, just going to look to fall on back and save the M4.
Yeah, just a very nice play there from Rain. Just takes, well, just ups the pace incredibly in that round, just runs straight in. Potter not even aware that somebody's gone past, and well, this is going to be hugely damaging over towards the economy. Of course, if the rifle can be saved, maybe they can make some sort of play, but really I think it would have been needed to get 2 or 3, and in fact they're not even going to get 1. Artstar will close this one down 9-4, looking very strong. And you look over at that CT economy with 1900, I think they probably would get a better buy, but not anything too crazy, so they're going to go for the force.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said throughout this whole thing that if this goes to 3 maps, I see Dignitas taking this, because out of the 2 times they've played on Cobblestone, they've looked incredibly strong. Even when you do look back historically, you know, we can't really gauge too much from the old games that they have played, but even, you know, 6 months ago, they were churning out some very impressive results once again. So, you know, it just seems to be kind of their go-to for the time being, one that I think, you know, they could face off against, you know, even the best of teams, keeping it their little secret now into the finals. And now it is going to be a 4-on-4. They're looking to try and secure themselves a 10th round if they can. And well, they're going to get control of the A site. Harvey trying to rail some bullets downstream. Doesn't connect much and is going to be forced on back. Now it's going to be Potter on the flank in through mid. She's got to check this angle though, because Goose Breeder is there playing in the cubby out of mid left-hand side. Just going to be biding her time, waiting for the rotate to come in. And at this point, it looks like they're just going to save for the last round of the half, which is definitely the smart thing to do. As you said last time, they need to save 2 or 3 rifles.
Yeah, no, they definitely need to make sure they can keep something into the next round. The problem is they're not going to have a better buy than this. They may be able to drop a couple of UMPs, but that's about it. Not even going to be able to afford a FAMAS or 2, and either way, it's going to be a 10th round on the board for Dignitas, looking very, very strong in this situation. Even with what was quite a risky buy. They had a MAC-10 P90 in play. Not really a prime weaponry, but they still managed to pull it off, so no problems there. And now you look towards what buy is actually going to be coming in. As said, it's not really going to be anything better than what we saw in the previous round. In fact, it's almost identical.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to try and put together some sort of buy, just like we did with the analyst desk with the additional... Okay, that's one that's too far. I'll laugh with him now. 4-10 for the time being. CLG Red 6 rounds behind that of Team Dignitas. And well, they're going to be trying their hardest to catch up. Emulate back on the P90, her weapon of choice, just juggles between that and the AWP. And I mean, you know, at this point, there's been such a standout performance from, I mean, I'm looking mainly at kind of Goose Breeder, who I think's been doing a lot of work.
Rain as well.
Yeah, Rain as well, you know.
But Rain always is, no matter what.
Emulate doesn't need to be on the AWP. They've been working with the, oh, there's the peak, and
they almost line up.
Potter's going to go down.
I was almost certain she'd get at least 1 there, and maybe even 2. Instead, she gets nothing. It will be the trade back, at least getting one. The Molotov into the corner is going to force Die out of position, and the P90 is there to finish her off towards the end of the round. Now Milk will fall, and Benita, well, she has had a better performance than we saw on the previous map. The problem is she's got to do so much work. Rain is going to be low. That'll be the first kill. She's got to try and get back into this site and find someone along the way. There's 2 players currently over towards long. Of course, it's the last round. There's no point saving in this sort of situation, but she doesn't have a kit. And really, it's just praying that somebody will make a little bit of a mistake. The peek from Goose Breeder will give her spot away. And Malik gonna pre-fire around the corner with the P90 to try and bait her out of spot. And in fact, will even finish the kill. 11-4 half. The maximum rounds that we saw CLG Red string together was 2. And now they're gonna have to win this pistol, otherwise they are out.
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas, they've won, what, out of the 5 pistols that we played,
pistol.
they've won 4. So, you know, their track record in these pistol rounds is phenomenal. And, you know, as we continue, if that's the case now, if they pick up this pistol round on Cobblestone, something that I believe when they played in those 2 games the other day, they won the CT side pistol in, actually, it might have only been in one of them, but still, okay, like, their ability, no, it was in both. Their ability to pick up, no, it wasn't one. That's my bad. Anyway, I'm going to stop revisiting that topic. Their ability to pick up the pistol rounds is going to be insanely strong. If they get the basically the 3 free rounds that grants you, they're going to be at 14-4. You're looking at 13-4 if CLG get the bomb plant, then they'll be able to buy up.
And that's if they win.
Yeah, I mean, still, Team Dignitas in such a good place. CLG Red going to have to forge one hell of a comeback here.
I think the one strong point is the one thing that really helped them on the T side of train was Benita, and she has actually been doing pretty well even on the CT side. So Tech 9 in her hand, the 1 pistol round that they've actually managed to win was off the back of her with an ace. So we'll see if she can do it again. Gonna start things off Sprague. She gets nothing. Artstar is gonna be there to start off with 2 headshots. Goose Breeder is looking for more. Has been phenomenal so far. Can't quite finish off, runs out of ammo, and it will be back to a 2 versus 2.
Yeah, bombs crossed over towards the site as well. Amy Lee is going to be pushing up through short. Both players already well and truly over here towards B. Spots out one, going to be trying to land a flick out onto Die, and that's bomb drop. The trade does come through from Milk, but she can't connect the second shot, and there's Kath. The second shot. And there is Kath to shut her down. Dignitas, they pick up the pistol, they deny the bomb plant, and at this point, CLG Red are faced with a very horrific decision. Do they just go for the force by now and try? Do they go for the force by now and try and pick this up, or do they just kind of go for a slightly stronger buy in the next round, try and get the bomb down with the limited supplies they've gone for? And that's exactly the case. But 2 P90s, an MP9 and MP7. I mean, it's just the day of off-meta weapons, and then the 1 UMP on Rain, who is aware of the meta.
Yeah, my favorite player on that team.
Yeah. Oh, that nade. Benita, are you okay? You don't look so great. Suddenly things are looking very bad. She dies from the fall damage. Oh my God, Kath, what are you doing?
Oh my God. That could have been an ace, but for the fall damage.
No, if anything, that was the best ace I've ever seen. Kath uses gravity to slam dunk her opponents.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely ridiculous. Completely shutting down this. I suppose this is the other end of what CLG were planning in the previous. They save and then they buy into what will be the 3rd round. If they get the bomb down, they go for a better buy. If not, they go for a couple of AKs, bring in some UMPs, pick up a Tech 9 onto Benita and just hope for the best. Kath will actually pick up a rifle instead. Obviously, she made plenty of money in the last round, even if Gravity did steal the money for one of the kills. And again, a nade onto Milk is going to put her down to 37 HP. But Die this time will capitalize. 1 rifle down. Milk was waiting for a flashbang that never came, but still manages to get a kill, at least keeping the advantage over to the T side for now.
Yeah, Rain trying to turn that around, playing it towards Rock. Does just rail Benita with lead down to 3 HP. Still very much alive and kicking on behalf of Rain, trying to peer over the top of the smoke. Emily goes aggressive, pays for that with her life, but it was a peek she didn't need to take. Luckily enough, Harvey is there to get 2 in retort with the UMP and just manages to cling onto that round for CLG. Now they're 5-13. This is where they have to start to forge their comeback. If they allow Dignitas to reset them or start to build up any sort of economy at all on that CT side, then CLG Red are almost instantly down and out for the count.
So with 1 nade over the past 2 rounds, I think they've done like 300 damage. Now they have 5.
Yeah, let's see if they can do 1,500 damage.
I'd be impressed. I feel like there's maybe something wrong with that stat, but
That they just kill it like
A load of chickens.
Yeah, a load of chickens, their own team. It's just a mixed bag of death. And, well, anyway, speaking of a mixed bag of death, look at this push, look at the nade damage, what's going on? They should take up basketball, not CS at this rate. This is insane, it's 3-on-3. The push coming on in. CLG being able to find a couple of frags left and right, but Potter with the P90 still wreaking havoc. Gonna be on 2, looking for a third. D, able to get 1. Die. There we go. Got there eventually. Oh my god. Rain 1v3 going to go down at the hands of Potter. Triple kill for her, and CLG, they arrive at their 6th round. They're not ready to go down without a fight, Tom.
Was a save though. That was just a small investment from Team Dignitas, just going to utilize the fact that they have a huge buffer of rounds to make sure that they can get themselves back into this one. I like how the person who's picking up the P90 on the other side is also the AWPer. Just coincidence. It was actually picked up though. I just want to say the Potter didn't buy it, so I'm not as angry. Makes me sad inside. Either way, not going to be a whole lot of utility over on the Dignitas side. They do have an incendiary, a lot of flashbangs and a smoke, but not going to have a whole lot of stopping power. And at the moment, we are going to see a lot of players coming over towards this A side at the moment, and only really Emilite up close and personal. There's a little bit of a spot at the moment from Artstar. Still has the incendiary, and this is going to be an aggressive push. However, it is just a trade at the moment, and that's always going to benefit that T side, especially with the weaponry, well, maybe not weaponry, but the utility that they currently have in play.
CLG just going to be leaving mid instead, deciding that B looks much more delicious for the taking as they make their way on round. Bomb are going to be in tow. They're not going to be throwing the smoke down to allow them to cross out towards plat. This is giving a lot of time for the rotator to come through. You can already see they're very preemptively rotating Artstar around, and that's because they've got Kath going around on the flank. They know that as far as the connector is clear, so it's going to enable the rotate round. Rain through the smoke, able to dispatch of Milk. The aggression continuing, but they're not going to check the corner. Gooseberry going to get 1, gets 2, looking for a third. The spray down coming in, but she can't quite connect the shots. It's going to be Rain to reinforce. And that'll be the round going the way of Dignitas, 6-14. Luckily enough, the economy of CLG does support a bit of a buy.
Yeah, they are actually going to have plenty of cash to get a buy back into this round. Potter will have the AWP. Out of all the maps, this has probably been the one where she has been the most quiet. Benita, so far, unable to do anything really over on this T side as well, so they're going to need a lot of players to wake up if they are going to be able to pull this back. Emilite back on the Pro 90 again, another SMG in the form of the UMP also in play, so definitely not a flawless buy over on that CT side by any stretch. Milk will be taking the hit over on CLG Red as she has herself a Tech 9, but well, is that even that much of a disadvantage?
See, this time around, the holdover towards A doesn't look as strong, right? I mean, usually you have a little bit more information coming out from things, and I mean, Arstar's playing this very passively. Now, she's normally someone who does play that fast rotate, but the issue is she's not in a great place to trade with Emily. She's looking over towards long. If Emily goes down in mid, that is just an advantage the way of CLG, plain and simple. And as she does now start to peek on out, she will be able to check mid, but she's still mainly focusing on long. She's not going to be able to go for that quick trade, which is what you need playing this sort of bait and switch aggressive angle. And well, instead, Emily, luckily enough, going to switch things out towards long. Goes to the peak of the timing, going to be on her side. Potter goes down. That's such a key player down for CLG already. They're going to try and grab mid control as a result. The P90 from Emily just railing death downwind. They're going to be able to find a second, but the trade's going left and right. Ultimately, the advantage now going to be going the way of Team Dignitas as Rain and Kath. They combine. They find 2 frags between them. And now it's all on die, 1v3. It is do or die at this point.
I was actually thinking of the same
as
thing.
She pushes in towards the site, and it disgusts me how similar we are, Tom.
Yeah, it looks as well. Either way, Die is going to be into this 1 versus 3. Gets the first, but can't turn around. Kath will be able to bring this to 15-6, and the money is going to be hurting over on the red side of things. They've got a long, long way to come back. Otherwise, we are going to have our first finalist, and it will be one of the finalists from the SWC.
Yeah, and you know that's exciting. You know, I guess in a way it does make them the best NA female team. So I mean,
last 2 events knocking them out, that would be without a doubt.
Yeah,
no questions can be asked there. Dig probably quite happy with their decision at this moment in time, but it's not done.
Well, I mean, especially there was a time where it looked like Dignitas could have potentially gone out in the group stages, right? So it's suddenly come
But
back.
that's always the thing, isn't it? The team that does amazing in groups never wins.
Yeah,
that's
true.
always the way it goes. And really, they only actually lost one map, so it's not really that big of a deal. Either way, they are challenging at the moment, already got an advantage over on that T side. Make it a second as Potter hits another with the dig. They've taken a lot of damage in the meantime. The rotation has come in over towards this B side. Kath gonna go aggressive. Gets one back already, looking for Milk, but can't quite connect. She's actually going to be missing the shots as they get closer and closer. Still alive. She will have support. It's going to be Emily spraying down 2, bringing it back to a much closer situation. 1 rifle will be picked up. Harvey going to get tagged down. And they want to try and get this bomb down onto the side at the moment, but the problem is there's players close by. They've got absolutely no reason to peek out in these scenarios. They still have 40 seconds to play with.
Yeah. Harvey Potter, the duo sounding like a Harry Potter remix. Trying to secure this B site, it's so important. I mean, Dignitas, they're so incredibly close to winning this out. They're going to try and employ the boost. Arstar gets boosted up, and Potter's quick to find that frag. Now it's all on Emily. She's got 10 HP. The eyes of everyone here watching, and the rest of her teammates just digging into her right now as she's in this 1v2. There's very little time left. They're just going to go for the frag, and they spot her out. CLG, they do live to fight another day for the time being. They pick up that 7th round and they deny the match point, going the way of Team Dignitas. But still, they've got a long road left to travel down. And Tom, I mean, you know, is it going to be plain sailing from here on out?
No.
Yeah, that gave you a nice, easy question.
A little bit of a rhetorical one there. Yeah, I think even Hugo can sit on the fence on that one. Either way, we are going to have just pistols in play, a kit onto Emily as well. 1 HE in the hands of Kath, who has been able to do a ridiculous amount of damage with these nades so far. But it is looking like only one going to be over towards this site. It is going to be Rain. The rest are still playing over towards A, hoping for a little bit of a stack. Not going to be the case. Angle's going to be cleared over towards this B site. I think they're a little bit wary that maybe the stack is over here. They have got it a little bit wrong. Almost gets the drop onto Milk, but it's not quite going to be the case. And I think, I don't know, did Milk just aim lock onto a pigeon or something that flew by? That's a bit
out
weird.
of the distance. I don't know. But Benita's going to be finding herself suddenly overwhelmed by a lot of Dignitas players. Will be going down, and that's an AK scavenged here for the CT side. Arstar's going to fall. It's all on Emily, basically to try and do something here. Wouldn't surprise me if you just tries to hold on to the P250 in the kit. Or maybe find a little bit of damage on these exiting players just watching up from the top of drop. Now, they should check this. They know that there was a player over towards long, at least one, because Kath as well was out towards mid with the AK. The CLG, they're going to be picking up an 8th. 7 rounds left to take this through to another overtime. Whilst it's going to be difficult for them to win 7 rounds consecutively, chaining together the first couple is just, you know, the step in the right direction. You've started to build up that economy. You can, you know, basically afford whatever the hell you want. Team Dignitas starting to find themselves on the back foot a little bit here. I mean, you know, when you look at it, you've got Rain, who doesn't have much money. Luckily enough, will be able to have the AK dropped over. Artstar as well, not really going to have too much to buy down into this round. So the buy isn't going to be fantastic. It's fairly decent. They've got the UMP on Rain, but they don't have the sort of caliber as buy of what we're used to.
Yeah, and well, as you've already said, there's going to be whatever is desired over on the CLG red side of things. They've got plenty of cash to play with. They've got over the hump of sort of winning the clutches in the last couple of rounds. And now they've just got to try and really get that momentum going. Like we saw in the previous couple of maps, it can be the case that just the team at the time who has the momentum can just string the rounds together. And we've seen them get, I think, almost this many on the previous couple of maps as well, just getting like 6 odd rounds in a row. So only got to do one better than that, and they brought it back to OT.
Yeah, Potter looking down range. Trying to spot out a player towards platform. No one there just yet. Will be getting down off the boost. Pop flash comes in. Not going to open up anything, but they do boost the player up towards tree, and that's going to be Kath. Now, they haven't stuck anyone here yet, aside from in that 1v2, sorry, in that 2v2 clutch, and it didn't pan out well for them then. It looks like CLG going to be trying to execute out towards the B site now. Rain fires off a volley of rounds there. It's going to give away her position in towards drop. There's 3 players up here looking to try and make their way in. The SMG, they're not going to check it. She does find one, but then the trade comes through from Harvey, who's quick to try and capitalize on the knowledge as to where Rain is. And oh, Milk doesn't know where she's getting shot from. The tree going to be paying off right now as Kath gets 1, going to be able to get 2. is finally going to be dealt with, but it's Pod at 1v3, and they're all over here towards the B site. One's in Chicken Coop that they don't even know exists yet, and that's Goose Breeder. She's just letting her position remain unknown, and at this point, I feel like Potter's not going to check it. It's probably going to go down from that angle, and there we go. That's going to be Team Dignitas. They pick it up 16-8, 2-1. They win out this series, and that means they are going to be your grand finalists to play up against the winner of Team Secret versus Team Expert. All in all, and a brilliant performance from both teams. Commiserations, of course, to CLG Red, who went 2-0 in the group stages and now only picked up one map in the semis. Very well played. And, well, I mean, I guess that means that all that's really left in store is the next best of 3. But speaking about this and what we just saw, you know, how do you think Dignitas are gonna fare in the finals? What went wrong? What went right? What are they going to need to improve on? That's a lot of questions.
I think the big thing for them as well is that it's not been the sort of like previous matches. Like at the previous map we saw, it was basically like, okay, Rain just went absolutely ham on Cobble. That's what we saw like last time they played Cobble. The last couple of maps we've seen from them here, it's been a bit of everyone. Like we've seen different players step up all over the map. And I think if they're going to beat someone like Secret, like Expert, they are going to have everybody on point. So it's a very good sign to see that it isn't just an individual player who's just going ham and just going, okay, I'm going to drag you through this one. A bit like we saw in the first map from CLG, we saw a very, very good performance from Potter with the AWP, and that actually got them over the line. Now, she falls off a little bit, and then it's sort of like, okay, there's not enough for actually to get even close in the last 2 maps. So I think there's definitely a great opportunity that they could actually go and challenge. I think it's going to be a very difficult game no matter who they come up against. I think everybody is still thinking the same name in their head, going, I think I probably know who's going to be in the final, but yeah, it's not over till it's over. I think a lot of people thought CLG Red were going to be the ones taking this.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. After coming out of the groups looking very strong, they took it 2-0, whereas Dignitas did have a much more shaky start. I mean, you say they only lost 1 map, but they did lose it to Vex, the kind of unknown team who were a bit of a, just didn't really expect much from them, and then they beat Dignitas. So it was a bad start from them, but quickly they have been able to recuperate, and now they're looking incredibly strong, poised to head into the finals, and that's going to be coming up later on today. As we said, they're going to be playing up against the winner of Team Secret versus Team Experts. There you go. How did I forget that? I remembered it every time up until now. But yeah, there we go. We're going to be throwing to the
host. I think we're going straight to the host.
Oh, well, then there we go.
If we're wrong, then they'll just cut us off anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Tom and Hugo, for throwing to the host. More importantly, here on stage with Emily and Team Dignitas, our first finalists at the Intel Challenge Katowice. I know how much that means. It's really visible. It's really obvious to all of us here at IEM Expo how much that means to you. Another thing which is very obvious is how much respect and sort of friendship there is between these 2 teams as well. There was a lot of love on this stage. So congratulations then. You're not only in our finalists, but you're 1 stage further than you were at this time last year when you lost to them. So that must feel really satisfying.
Yeah, like I said, every year, every time we play, we just keep getting better and better. And that's all thanks to our coach. He trains us and yells at us whenever we do bad. So, and we have so much respect for them. And, we both are from NA, and there's another team from NA now. So it's just love for the community, and yeah.
A great series. We thought it might be a huge contest over 3 maps, although Miss Harvey was saying, well, they'd quite like to get it done quickly and get it done in 2-0. Of course, they win your map. You win their map. Was there ever a moment in your minds when you felt like it was going to be a difficult win, or were you always confident that momentum might come back your way?
Well, we should have won Train. They didn't beat us. We beat ourselves. Okay. So it was just a rusty first map of the day, and after we were warmed up, we were good to go.
So a slow start then, like maybe we were talking about perhaps in the 3 matches you played yesterday. Felt like you got off to a slow start again.
Yeah, same thing. I don't know, it's just the first match, we just need a good warm-up, and then after that, we're good.
So that overtime on the first game was maybe you were warming up during it, but which is why it went so long. That second map, very much a reversal of fortunes, and it really did feel like it was a momentum map. Sort of a lot of rounds, beg your pardon, went your way, switched a little bit the other way, then a lot of rounds went your way again. Is that how you play as a team? Do you really need momentum with you?
Definitely. Whenever we're down, we have to pump each other up. And even if somebody whiffed a horrible shot, we have to be like, nice try, forget about it, and focus on the next round.
And that's a real strength then, I guess, as a team, that you can support each other in that way. through to our final here at the IEM Expo. Going to be playing a European team. It's either going to be Team Secret or Team Expert. You have some history in being runner-up to Team Secret. Would you like to predict who's going to be in that final?
I feel like Expert is actually pretty good. I think it's going to be a 2-1. I'm not sure. I know it's going to be a close game. They're a pretty good team, but if Secret does make it through, we're coming for you guys. So
that's what we want to hear. I think we want a really big challenge to win this thing. So congratulations, Team Dignitas. They are through to the final of the Intel Challenge Katowice 2017, live here from the IEM Expo in Katowice. So let's go back over to our analyst desk to look a little bit more in detail at that amazing best of 3.
Thank you very much, Matt. You didn't ask her about the P90. I just want to know, how many times have you used the P90 in your lifetime? Probably more than anyone. But incredible stuff from Dignitas. I mean, we delved into it. We said maybe Dignitas could take this series, but they have blown CLG Red out of the water, and they well deserve their place in the final.
See, I was sitting on a fence, and I will admit, and thank you for Tom and Harry for getting me off that fence, but I can say that was a yellow and black fence.
Exactly.
I was with Dignitas from the beginning. I called the 2-1, got wrong on the maps, but I'll take the series.
Yeah, and the theory still stands. So if you win the second map in a best of 3, lose the first one, then you're always going to win the third one. So my theory still stands as well.
So you just throw the first map. That's something.
Just
if
matter.
anyone's wondering out there, just throw
yeah.
the first map, make sure you win the second, that's fine.
Yeah.
I believe we've got an updated bracket as well, so we can just see how it's all going to play out and who's going to be playing in that second semi-final as well. You can see on your screens there, Dignitas did take down CLG Red 2-1, but the next semi-final is going to be Team Expert versus Team Secret, which we'll get into a little bit later. But let's just quickly run over what we've just seen, of course, there. I mean, it wasn't very close. Let's be honest, it was a bit of a stomp. Why was that, do you guys think?
Well, in my opinion, Team Dignitas just played really, really fundamental, good CS. They used their nades correctly. They had a good use of smokes, especially to block off sites. We all saw the round where they just walked into the site using that like 4 smoke screen, going in, getting that bomb down, and then they got retaken, but still, like, it just shows they know how to use their grenades. Also, they used the Molotovs a lot of times to clear out the back of the bomb sites. We saw multiple times where they actually grilled the CT just standing in the back of that bomb site and just like took that advantage with their utility. Finally, he also used the weapon like in the correct situations. For example, not taking UMP fights on long range, using the AKs for that, like using we saw the MP9 in drop as well. So everything they did was just fundamentally good and strong CS. And that was what I was missing from CLG, because they made a lot of small mistakes. Not anything big, but a lot of small things where just, they could have done that different. They could have done that different. I didn't have that feeling with Dignitas, and that's why I believe they won.
And Hugo, you were right. You were saying that you didn't think Emily was going to pick up the AWP much in Cobblestone. She didn't, but she still top fragged. She played absolutely phenomenally. And maybe that says something. Maybe they just didn't need that AWP necessarily on Cobblestone.
Well, again, it's a repeat of how we saw yesterday. I said she didn't pick up the AWP a single time yesterday in the 2 maps they played in Cobble. So going into this, especially after her kind of on and off performance, you know, she's got a love-hate relationship. And for the P90, it's all love. So obviously going into this one, I was kind of thinking probably not the AWP, surely. And she didn't, and she performed amazingly without it. So maybe they need to look into trying working in an AWP role on someone else potentially. Either way, not going to start discrediting them. Great performance from her. Great performance from Goose Breeder again. That's 2 maps in a row she's done phenomenally. So Team Dignitas a very deserving win, and it just seemed like everything was going their way. We saw so many rounds that really shouldn't have gone their way just completely flip backwards. We saw, you know, a 4 spy round, I think it was 8-4. We had a double AWP on Potter and Die, and then, you know, Team Dignitas, they have a couple of Tech 9s, a couple of UMPs, piece of cake.
But I mean, Dignitas, correct me if I'm wrong, they won 5 out of 6 pistols throughout this series.
Yeah.
So that says a lot for me.
Yeah.
If you can win the pistols, clearly it's something they've been working on. Is there anything you saw from those pistol rounds that really shone for you from Dignitas? Was there anything CLG were lacking in those rounds?
It was just like they played really clever, in my opinion. They didn't take the challenges that are like out of proportion. They went for the frags that were near them, and then structurally grouped it up and attacked the bomb site altogether.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Just good stuff. I mean, I like the use of Raid Boss a lot, which is obviously a Tech 9 armor. We did see that a lot on CLG side. Dignitas not picking it up as much, but they still had a lot more success just kind of sticking with the Glocks on the T side. That being said, I feel like maybe incorporating some Raid Bosses, especially into their Cobble play a little bit more, may kind of add some spice to the pistols. Maps like Cobble, maps like Cash, we can go for fast plays with Tech 9 armor and pistol rounds. They're really, really effective.
Well, Dignitas are our first team that are moving on through to the finals, but they will be facing off against either Team Expert or Team Secret, which will be up next, so don't go anywhere.
Dignitas.